All right, welcome back here to the Hill on NewsNation. Here in Washington, talk of impeachment goes beyond President Biden. Some have raised the idea of impeaching members of the president's cabinet, including the Homeland Security Secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, over the border crisis along our southern border. Joining us now is the Republican congressman from Tennessee, Mark Green. He is also the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, which, by the way, will hold a hearing tomorrow with Secretary Mayorkas. Mr. Congressman, Mr. Chairman, thank you for being here on the Hill on NewsNation. Appreciate it as always. Are you going to push for the impeachment of the DHS of Alejandro Mayorkas?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me on the show. And to correct, Mayorkas is not showing up tomorrow. The investigation is, of course, on his performance. Tomorrow, our discussion is about the financial cost. Last week, we did the human costs, to fentanyl and human trafficking. This week, it's all about the dollar cost. In terms of impeachment, we're still in the middle of this investigation. I certainly was concerned last week when we had testimony that said his inactivity was aiding and abetting the cartels. But, we're continuing this investigation, and we'll see where it leads us.
Do you worry, Congressman, that if there's impeachment against President Biden, formally, officially, and it goes on down the road, that sort of sucks up all the energy, all the oxygen, all the attention, and then folks maybe like Mayorkas might get left in the dust?
I don't think so. I think that the Republicans are able to walk and chew gum at the same time. We've got two investigations going on simultaneously. In fact, we've got three. You've got Jim Jordan digging into the corruption at the DOJ. You've got Jamie Comer investigating the Biden crime syndicate. And, of course, we're digging into Mayorkas. And as I said, we found some pretty interesting stuff out last week, and we've got informants that have come to us and talked about potential fraud. So, yeah,
what is it going to take? What is it going to take to formally say, you know what, we're going forward with it? What do you need?
We've got to find clear evidence of elements of a crime. I mean, the impeachment is very clear in the Constitution, a high crime, a misdemeanor. So we're looking for elements of those crimes. And if he's violated, like in the case of aiding and abetting, we're digging into that. We had evidence or testimony last week that he was. So, yeah.
You had testimony from who? Because I guess that's where it breaks down, right? It's the question of, can you impeach for doing a bad job? Or can you impeach?
No, impeachment is not designed for a bad job. In fact, if you read the Federalist Papers about, the Constitution is very clear that would just result in a war between Congress and the White House all the time, or the administration. So no, that it has to be a high crime or a misdemeanor. But there's some concern that something that is there. So we're gonna investigate it.
Do you believe that Alejandro Mayorkas committed a crime?
I think there's a big question about whether or not he's aiding and abetting, and there's some questions about fraud with contracting. So we're digging into that. Absolutely.
Aiding and abetting what?
Aiding and abetting the drug cartels in drug trafficking and human trafficking.
So I'm sorry. So your claim is that the DHS secretary is helping personally the Mexican cartels? I just want to be clear there.
Yeah, you're not hearing me. What I said was there was testimony that suggested that could be true, and that we are still investigating it. So that's what I said 3 times.
Got it. Okay. I want to ask you about what's going on within the Republican conference. Obviously, the southern border is of great importance to you. And you helped put together the stopgap measure. Your colleagues who are sort of pushing back against that. What would you say to them right now, Congressman, that north of a dozen or so?
Yeah, I mean, I would say to them, for the cost of 30 months of cash flow at a little higher level, we get border security out of the deal we negotiated amongst ourselves. They were going to put H.R. 2 on that continuing resolution. And as I understand it from talking to senators, they had the votes to pass that continuing resolution over there, which would have given us border security, H.R. 2. And we've got Republicans who, I guess that's not enough for them, but it certainly was for me. And what's going to happen is, what the big concern is, that, some of the moderate caucuses are going to go over and talk to the, Democrats and get a deal that's going to be clean. So once again, we're cutting off our nose to spite our face, and it's just very frustrating.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.